Libertarians, drugged out wackos, Bitcoin collectors, a little bit of both. We're going to find out today as we talk to Julie Borowski.
Borowski. That's right. She's a mother. She's a children's book author. She's a YouTuber. And she tweets.
She is the face of the libertarian movement.
Let's go talk to her.
Hello, Julie. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Thanks for having me on.
So Julie's a libertarian, which I feel like 10 years ago you could say that and you knew what you meant by that. But we keep bringing libertarians on and then they're like, but actually I'm a MAGA Trump supporter. And you're like, oh, so that's not...
I'm a quasi-lino dibba-dibby libertarian. Like they add a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, or they're just a Bitcoin enthusiast and call themselves a libertarian. So
it also used to be kind of okay to say you're a libertarian. Like, oh, okay, you smoke a lot of weed.
I get it.
But now people are like, you're what? So that's one reason I think people are backing off libertarian because they get that like glazed, angry look in there. Libertarian? Well, did you vote for Trump?
I think the tipping point was when they got naked at that conference at the presidential nomination thing. And that guy ran around
that happened?
Or whatever. Yeah. And so, Julie, what kind of libertarian are you? Are we talking weed, Bitcoin, running around the conference naked? I mean...
So I like to joke that I'm too libertarian to be libertarian because when you say you're a libertarian, you get grouped in with a bunch of people and some people that you don't particularly like people who strip at conferences and stuff. And you get kind of conspiracy theory people and all kinds of just weirdos. And a lot of people don't even know, they call themselves libertarian, but they don't even know what libertarianism means. It bothers me so bad when I post something on Twitter that's just like, hey, stop being a jerk. And they're like, I thought you were a libertarian. How dare you tell people what to do? It's like, no, the whole point of libertarianism, at least what I thought when I got involved back in like high school, was that libertarianism was all about the government. The government can't force you to do stuff, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Right. That's what libertarianism is supposed to be about. But, over the years, I think it's devolved into a bunch of different kind of sects of libertarianism. You have, the Ron Paul people, you have the left libertarians. Yeah, you have the Bitcoin people, the weed people, you have all kinds of people. But yeah, I joke that I'm too libertarian to be libertarian. So I kind of call myself I'm independent. I'm just me. I'm Julie. I have these views. Mm-hmm. That's it.
So we the people can force each other to do things. It's just not the government.
Well,
Ethan's not a libertarian.
I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't know.
Yes.
Well, I mean, consent is like the whole point of libertarianism, right? You can't force people to do something they don't want to do.
Unless they defy the non-aggression principle.
Yeah.
Are you just saying phrases that you've heard? I'm just
trying to act like I get... Isn't that so? You wrote a book
but
called
I can still have opinions on stuff is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like I don't smoke weed. I definitely would say don't do heroin. If you ask me, I'd say, hey, don't do heroin. It's bad for you. That doesn't mean that I'm not a libertarian. It's just like I have opinions on stuff, guys.
Mm-hmm. What about DMT? Have you ever done DMT?
No, I don't even know what that stands for. I'm just,
I don't either.
I know
DMX. I don't know DMT. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So you wrote a porcupine book about, called Porcupine.
The Peaceful Porcupine.
The Peaceful Porcupine.
The Peaceful Porcupine.
And it's
yes.
It's about the non-aggression principle. Is that correct?
Yes. So I'm writing children's books about libertarianism, but it's not cringy, okay?
Okay.
So immediately when you tell somebody, because I guess I'm a kind of a political commentator person, that I'm writing children's books, it comes off as kind of cringy, like cult, like, I don't know, that's kind of indoctrination, that's weird. But my books, I've written two, are pretty like, I'm not forcing anything down kids' throats. It's more teaching them about economics and morals.
So it's not
aggression principle.
It's not like Berenstain Bears.
Yeah. It's really something that parents should teach their kids, but in case they don't have that. The non-aggression principle, yes, libertarians talk about it a lot, but like it should be universal. Like it's basically don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. So in the peaceful porcupine, if you don't know, porcupines are kind of like the libertarian mascots because porcupines, while they look scary, they have all these spikes and claws and stuff. The whole motto is don't hurt me and I won't hurt you. If you aggress upon a porcupine, like you're going to have regrets, okay? But if you leave them alone, they're not going to mess with you. So it's like kind of the libertarian animal. So I wrote a book about that, and it's a story. It's not talking about the non-aggression principle. Like it never says the non-aggression principle to kids, right? This is like 3 to 7 year olds, guys. Yeah. But it basically talks about how the friends in the forest are kind of scared of the porcupine because they think, oh, look at those spikes. That's scary. But eventually he comes across like this orphan bunny and the rabbit, and they become friends because the porcupine protects him. So it's kind of saying, hey, this is a good thing. And it's all a happy ending because storybooks should have happy endings. And it's all cute and it's adorable. I would recommend you get it. Even if you don't like me, the illustrations are absolutely wonderful and it's adorable.
Do they preemptively nuke the porcupine? And then they're like... Because, it looks dangerous.
That's the gritty sequel.
Oh, they basically just stay away from him. And it's a sad story at first because the porcupine has no friends. The porcupine wants to be friends with
just
these
like
animals.
Libertarians. So,
ouch. I wish I could say that wasn't true, but okay. So it's kind of my books has a lot of inside jokes within libertarianism because I want this book to be something that libertarian parents will like, but also I can give to my nieces and nephews and stuff, and their parents won't get mad at me for doing so. So the porcupine's name is Napo, the non-aggression principle, PO, porcupine.
Napo.
So libertarians will understand that, but like my brother, my cousins will not understand what that's about. And also the whole no friends thing, that was kind of a thing. I didn't know if other people would get that, but you did.
I picked up on that right away. So the porcupine doesn't like storm the Capitol building at the end and demand.
No,
nothing like that.
Are there like two chipmunks named Ron and Paul?
No.
Just give me
but in
ideas.
my first book. Yeah, maybe the next book. But in the first book I wrote is Nobody Knows How to Make a Pizza. It's modeled on I Pencil by Leonard Reed, which is an essay. And I give the characters names like Leonard, Edward, Reed.
Okay.
But only libertarians will understand that.
Yeah, I'm not a libertarian, so I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you talking about?
It's almost...
But yes, yeah. I sneak stuff in for the libertarian parents, and the kids will not know.
So... I want to kind of figure out like where the heck you came from because you did this like popular YouTube channel and you've got a bunch of Facebook followers. And when I first started getting interested in liberty and all this, you kept popping up. And so is this something you meant to do, or is this like, oh, I guess I have all these followers now?
I got involved in politics big time in college through the Ron Paul campaign. In 2007, 2008, I was the Ron Paul girl on campus. So I was really into this, and I really wanted to work in a political think tank, DC type. So I did. I got a job at FreedomWorks, which is a Tea Party organization, and I worked for them for a while. And while I was working for them, I started a YouTube channel on my own, just because I have opinions and I kind of wanted to get them out there and it was mostly me fooling around. And then they started kind of going a bit viral in the liberty communities. And it was kind of weird because my boss had no idea that I was making these videos. So it was a good thing. But I was like, oh, yeah, I've been doing stuff on YouTube. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's bizarre. I know you and I both spoke at Free State Project last February.
Oh, you guys were in the basement?
We went to the drug den together and smoked a bunch of weed. But no, not really. That is false.
But that's not true. That's not true. Don't spread rumors.
That is false. But it was bizarre to me because like I run the Babylon Bee and nobody knows who the heck I am, and I'm like, hey, it's Julie, I know who she is, and so you have much more of like a recognizable face in the liberty movement.
I think it's just my face is all over.
Your face is everywhere.
I'm sorry.
Those conferences are wild. Now, this is one thing that's interesting about liberty. Like you're talking about people that you don't like to necessarily like associate yourself with, or like drugs. You're like, oh, I don't do drugs, and I think that's bad. Those conferences are super interesting to me because it's just like this bizarre, eclectic mix of all these people who appreciate liberty for different reasons, and you're like, okay, I'm not really in with this crowd, but that's cool, I guess.
That kind of appeals to me about the libertarian thing because, like, it seems like both parties, the Republicans and Democrats, kind of Republicans have become a lot more of a big tent than, especially under Trump. It seems true. Like, but there was always like the clean cut guy in a suit was that they wanted everybody to be for them, and then the Democrats were always whatever hippies with armpit hair.
Yeah, I remember that conference, and I actually really appreciated that conference because I went there with my son, who was he's 2 years old now. But it was so cool because they actually have like a kids room for kids that parents can drop their kids off. And I've never seen that at any libertarian political conference I've ever been to. And that was cool to actually see kids running around because I know as a mom, like it's hard to get places because you're like, okay, who the heck's going to watch my kid for me? Especially if I'm a speaker, like I can't have my kid up at the stage with me. So I actually really appreciate that. I want more conferences to do that.
Yeah, not even libertarian conferences. I haven't seen that at any conference.
In general, even dads, moms, just have some place to put your kids. And it was so cool because the kids are kind of getting involved in this community too. I saw like there was like, I don't know, lollipops and pens and stuff. And the kids were kind of walking around the booths and looking at stuff. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I was in a room listening to a guy talk about how he 3D prints guns. And then in the next room, you hear all these little toddlers screaming, and they're like running through the room and going back and forth. And
that's because they had Vermin Supreme running the daycare.
Vermin Supreme ran the daycare. He kept hitting them all with his boot, pulling and
biting children.
Don't make me take this boot off.
The kids all got rabies, but
hey, it worked out though.
Yeah.
So what's
they survived.
So what's your thoughts on the incredibly failing Libertarian Party?
Oh my goodness! What are my thoughts?
Yeah, we're still trying. Like I said, we're talking to a libertarian, and it's like,
it
doesn't.
In the Libertarian Party, I understand the connection there. It is kind of disappointing to me because Jo Jorgensen, I know she was kind of relatively unknown to libertarians before she became the libertarian nominee. I generally liked her. Maybe there were some tweets that she probably shouldn't have sent that was kind of pandering to the left, who are probably not going to vote libertarian ever. But generally, I liked her on policy. I thought she was like a normal person. I liked her personality. I think she was a very welcoming person. Spike Cohen, I actually like him more now that he's not the vice presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party, because he's kind of like a crazy character. It's kind of like you shouldn't have like a kind of a joke candidate a little bit, but I like him now because I think it's good to have a sense of humor, just maybe not representing your entire party.
Republicans got a joke candidate in and presidency.
It worked out for them.
Worked out.
Okay. I guess we can start talking a little bit more about that. But he was yeah. So but Spike, he was talking about free cheesy bread for everyone. He was Vermin Supreme's vice presidential candidate, and it's funny. It's a joke, but if you want people to take the Libertarian Party seriously, that's not the way to do it. I don't know. And Jo Jorgensen, I was kind of hopeful maybe, of course she was going to lose the election. I realized that. I'm not in denial about that. But I was hoping she would kind of be more of a spokesperson afterwards. I haven't heard that much from her after the election, which is disappointing, especially, not to do the whole identity politics thing, but it was nice to kind of have another woman because people, of course, you're going to ask me this question. I know you're going to ask me this question. Why aren't there more women in the liberty movement? I think it's kind of cool to have kind of a woman leader in the libertarian movement because women can see that and be like, hey, I'm going to get involved too, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't know where she's been, and I wish she would be more active because it involves and because I do like her.
So you didn't vote for Trump?
I didn't vote at all.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why, people get mad at me for this, but like I feel personally responsible when I vote. And I hold it over myself. So whether Trump, if I voted for Trump or I didn't vote for Trump, or no matter what happened, I would have held myself responsible for it. And I do not live in a swing state at all. So it was kind of like, I'm not going to do that to myself. Yeah. I am just going to troll on Twitter about it.
Don't you feel personally responsible when the person you may have voted for might have won, but you just the whole
I know it's like no matter if I vote or if I don't vote, the results are going to be the same. But I'm going to feel a guilty conscience. You know, people say, "Oh, if you don't vote, you can't complain or whatever." But like, if I voted for someone, I'd be like, "I am directly responsible for the Capitol." Like, if I voted for Trump, you know, and I would hold myself like, "What have I done?" But now I'm like, "Okay, well, I wasn't involved in any of this. Don't blame me."
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, except I did cave and vote for Trump at the last second. But but I've always felt that way. This was the first time I ever voted. But how pure of a libertarian are you? So are you like,
is there a test?
Mad Max, anarchist, Hectopia, or are you like, you know, just less government?
I am just kind of a very realistic person in that I am not somebody who is going to promote anarchy or anything like that. Not because I don't think it's a bad idea. Like, I think it'd be cool to see what happens in anarchy. I would think it's cool if they had like, they formed their own nation or had an island, or, you know, they talk about seasteading and stuff like that. I think it would be awesome. I love seeing what would happen in the experiments and what pros and cons and all that kind of stuff. I would love to see anarchy. However, I don't think it's going to happen without them going away somewhere. Like, for me, it's kind of what's going to happen in the United States, in my state, in my community, and that anarchy is not an option there. So I do think, for me, it is more government, more freedom, because I care about the future of like my children. What are they going to live in? And I know they're not going to live in anarchy, and I'm afraid they're going to live in a more statist society than we even live in now. So I think pushing back on that is my first priority, and not talking about anarchy for, you know, some kind of points online, purist points, when it's not a thing that's going to happen right now. Right. You can go to your island and do anarchy, but how the heck are you going to convince people about anarchy when even, you know, saying, hey, we should reduce the government is met with shock?
So you're not a pure libertarian. Sad.
I'm not a pure libertarian at all. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not even a libertarian. I'm too libertarian to be libertarian. I'm just me.
So do libertarians believe that there should be any cops? Or they want to...
Well, that's kind of the question. That's kind of the question, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends.
And
then we go into like the perfect world, and it's like we don't live in the perfect world. So we don't live anywhere close to the perfect world. So, you know, a lot of libertarians, especially the men in the movement, they just like to go on for hours and hours on Facebook threads and, you know, call each other names and, you know, the perfect world, this would happen, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, you're wasting time here. This is not going to happen. So for me, one of the things is with my children's books is hoping that we become more free in the future with the children, because I feel like so many adults are just, they don't get it. They're never going to get it. They're set in their ways. They're stupid. If we could introduce liberty to the younger generation, maybe we'll have a hope in the future.
Yeah, and then again, going back to that libertarian conference where they had all these kids running around, that was interesting to me because I see the libertarian as the neckbeard with the fedora and no kids.
We do have
kids.
sex sometimes, yes.
But to see, you know, married couples with kids, like at, you know, it was just like, oh, okay, that's an interesting, I don't know if you want to call it a strategy or a value, you know, that you would more associate.
We're breeding. Yeah.
It's the Mormon strategy. And, you know.
It's the only strategy that's really going to work, because you are influencing your kids with your morals and teaching them, and you can't teach just this random dude on Facebook about your morals. But he's not going to listen. He's set in his ways, but you can actually influence your kids. So yes, I would like libertarians to actually, you know, shape up, get married, have sex, and have some kids.
Well, we just found the name of the episode. We're always on the lookout for the name of the episode.
Usually have kids just implies that you have sex, but...
Oh, did she say both?
Yeah. It's thorough.
Yeah, I guess adoption is also an option. Mm-hmm.
You don't say have
acquire kids.
Yeah.
Acquire kids, do not kidnap them. That's a violation of the non-aggression principle.
Acquire kids legally.
Acquire kids legally.
Yeah. Well, not legally, but consensually, and yes.
Wait, but legally too, right?
Okay, well, it depends on the libertarian.
Probably want it to be legal.
Do you have laws in a libertarian? Do libertarians have laws? I'm still trying to understand the ultimate libertarian goal.
Because I can't speak for every libertarian, right?
Yeah.
For me, yes, I support laws against, don't rape people, don't kill people, do not kidnap kids.
Okay.
It's bold.
I'm on board.
Bold and controversial.
Bold, yeah.
Yeah, everybody?
Yes.
But okay, yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. Wait. I always feel like the dumb guy when it comes to libertarian.
No, it's great.
No, just like okay, so like
people.
My question that I always get to with libertarianism is, isn't it like the idea of it is everybody's free to kind of like have their own philosophy and thing, and it's just like you
would think, right?
Right, but then like you're free to create your own. However you want your little society to work with everybody there kind of agrees on it or whatever. But isn't that just lead to whatever parties are in, couldn't libertarianism lead to Democrats and Republicans? Like, maybe they use their libertarian freedom to become not libertarians?
So, yeah. I understand where you're coming from. So it really depends. I know there's some libertarians say that, society should be ran as like an HOA. Like you have your own city and it's all these kind of. I know that's what I was about to say. I purposely live without an HOA because I hate them. So libertarians say, let's have this like a citywide HOA where everyone kind of agrees to the rules here. And if they don't like it, you can move to the other HOA. But I'm just like, oh my God. Because I think there will always kind of be a power vacuum, right? And there's always going to be, busybodies and old people who don't have anything better than to kind of boss people around, right, in HOAs. So I don't know. It really depends. I personally, my philosophy is, don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. I think that should be the whole libertarian viewpoint as opposed to, we consent to all this weird stuff. And I don't know. It is, and then you have like libertarian socialists, libertarian communists. I'm like, I thought those were oxymorons, right? That's not something that I like. No.
Well, the thing you're talking about with the HOAs is that's kind of what states were supposed to be, right? Like in federalism.
Yeah.
You don't like California, move to, Missouri.
So I guess I would be kind of like if we don't have a libertarian society, at least have more decentralization so people can vote with their feet. I think that's more of a realistic option.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of arrived in a similar place where I used to be more pure, like, anarchy, man, And then I grew up...
Legalized prostitution.
But it did come to the point where I'm like, well, philosophically, I can say just to remain purely libertarian, like, okay, taxation is theft and... police are illegal, or, the police should be banned, and, fire should be privatized. And then you start thinking about it and you go, well, right now the fight that we're having is a different fight than that. It's that the federal government has done so much, has expanded so far from that. I'm like, if we could just get back to just police, fire, and roads, I would actually be fairly happy with that. So from a realistic perspective, I think... I think you can make an argument for liberty and say, no cops, no fire, no roads. It's all privatized. But it's like, that's not going to happen in our lifetime. And so let's fight about the things. Let's fight about the government, the federal government controlling public education and all. Let's do stuff that we might make some headway on.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's nice to win stuff every now and then. If you are, a lot of libertarians kind of get burnt out because you're talking about all these ideas and stuff, and they're never going to happen, and you just see disappointment, and it's like, okay, let's focus on something that we can actually win. I know it's kind of like a cliche, the libertarian pot thing, but it's actually a battle that we're starting to win. A lot of places are legalizing marijuana statewide, so I think that's something that. It's nice to win something every now and then. And I know like Bitcoin and stuff, it's really taking off right now. That's kind of, libertarians have different viewpoints, but there's a lot of overlap there. And so that's kind of nice to see. So I think, focus on a battle that actually is winnable it's a good thing. You're not wasting your time.
Well, you joined the wrong party if you wanted to win something.
I know.
How many Bitcoins do you have? Are they buried all over your town in certain locations?
They're physical?
Okay, well, I'm not going to answer that question. However, I will say that I got some Bitcoins from libertarians like 2012, 2013, and that as like a donation. I didn't ask for anything. They just kind of like, in Coinbase, you could give donations to people, and they would give it to me, and it was like, maybe $5-10. I was like, okay, cool, thank you, but I didn't think much about it. And it wasn't until like maybe 2 years ago that I actually checked on how much it was worth, and I was like, wow. I didn't think, I completely forgot about it, and then I checked the Coinbase thing, and I was like, I'm rich.
Yeah, what are they at now? Like $30,000
I'm not
a
telling
Bitcoin
you.
or something?
Generally.
I always try to get libertarians to tell me where they've buried their gold, and Ron Paul wouldn't tell us. It's very sad.
Yeah.
I don't think he understood what I was asking him, though.
So where are you coming from? Are you a religious person, or do you got a philosophy of where do your morals come from? Because libertarians got to have morals. Libertarianism doesn't tell you what right and wrong is.
How do I avoid this question?
You're in the hot seat. You got to tell us.
I feel like it's a very personal thing. It's something that I have shied away from talking about because I feel like I'm still on a journey of discovery. Is that a weird thing to say? But it's something I don't really want to talk about. I also don't want to like loop it in with my political stuff because I don't know. It's just, I feel like you can be a person who likes liberty and peace and all this stuff without being religious, when you can be religious. And it's not something I really want to tie together. That's just my opinion, though. People can have different stuff, but it's not something I want to talk about because I feel like I don't know enough. I feel like my opinion is still kind of evolving, and my views and stuff on religion and stuff like that. So I just completely avoided your question.
That's fine.
We'll start rattling off denominations.
Yeah, we can just we should give you a quiz. Yeah,
well, I will tell you. A lot of people have seen my wedding photos, and I did get married in a Russian Orthodox church.
Oh, wow!
So you're Russian Orthodox.
Got it.
Yeah.
My husband is Russian,
And you're
so
Orthodox.
I am a Russian. Yeah, I married a
Russian spy.
I was okay with being married in the church because I like tradition. And I thought that was a good thing to do.
Yes. Tradition's good. Yeah, I guess the only reason I talk about that is because where the Babylon Bee, but also because I feel like any system of government, it only goes so far. Like the people have to have like even just the idea of liberty. Like you can just tell everybody, we all have to agree on this principle, but we just made it up or whatever. Like, what convicts people to hold to a value? And that's one reason I sit back and watch the world burn and kind of chuckle, because I don't think politics, they only go so far to get us in the right direction. If the people that are in the society have no moral convictions or don't have something guiding them to hold to that, then there's not a lot of hope, I don't think, for it's kind of like it's controlled chaos.
I can see that. Yeah. I even know some libertarians who talk about the ideas and non-aggression principle, and they don't live up to their values in their own lives. And they may not be religious. I think not all religious people are good people. Not all non-religious people are bad people. But I think the threat of burning in hell for the rest of eternity is a good motivational factor for some people to kind of shape up their lives. Not everyone needs that, but it definitely helps for some people to be like, okay, I'm going to do the right thing.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I do think it's something that the libertarian movement has struggled with, because if you don't have a moral absolute outside of it, even if you don't want to call it religious, if you want to say there is good and bad and there is good and evil, and it's not just something that just...
Yeah,
I think that's kind of what you're saying. It's not something that just evolved and we're all like, yeah, this sounds good.
Yeah.
Like, this is good for society.
Yeah, I see that.
Like, if you're like imagine taking your political philosophy and trying to apply it to just like a group of like roving bandits.
Yeah, why is this a good thing?
Like, how is it going to control them if they have no, desire to? I guess you have to create some kind of military to fight them or something. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, like, don't aggress upon people. Okay, why?
Yeah, all the smart people are yelling.
It's the right thing to do. Why is it the right thing to do? And it kind of goes on and on and on. Because I see that.
If I can quote John Adams off the top of my head. Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other.
See?
Throwing it out there.
Wait, is he libertarian?
Sure. No, that's not. I mean, I think that's... Well, maybe it is. He was a soft libertarian.
A soft libertarian?
He wouldn't have done mushrooms.
Just got, this little weed. So, you have a non-aggression principle with your children. You never spank? Wait, how old are you have one kid?
He's almost 3.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, are you even there yet? I mean, the actual having to really decide.
We have to talk about your Calvin. We have to ask how she would handle the situations with Calvin.
Oh, no. So I do not spank. I think there are parents who spank, 2 and 3-year-olds. I've seen kind of stats about it, that spanking starts at even like 6 months old. And I think that is unbelievably, even if you believe in spanking, like spanking a 6-month-old because they touch something, they don't know right from wrong at that point. They're exploring, they're discovering things. And I do not spank. People say it's against the non-aggression principle. That's not where my viewpoint comes. I kind of think it's just lazy to spank. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that?
No, I mean,
everyone's entitled to their opinion.
I just, when I think of parents who spank their kids, it's just they're not, talking to them. And, I know a lot of people say, oh, that's permissive parenting. Well, not really. I think you should hold kids accountable. Like, I tell my kid no all the time. I'm not somebody, do whatever you want to do. But I would never hit my kid. It's lazy. It's just not good parenting, I don't think. I just see kind of like a parent spanking their kids like they don't care. And it's really effective, spanking. And I think that's part of the problem, is that it's effective because it's like it can become really addicting to spank their kid on any little thing they do. It's the same thing with like yelling and stuff. And I've had to work on this myself because yelling is really effective at getting kids and your spouse and everyone to listen to you, but it's not the right thing to do. So I've tried to be like, okay, don't spank, don't hit, just, talk to your kids with respect, because kids really learn from the way you act, the way you don't really teach your kids as much as you do from them watching you and modeling your behavior. So I want my kid to, treat people with respect and things like that. And I can't treat him poorly and expect him to treat other people with respect, including myself. So, I don't spank.
I've been spanking my kid since he was in the womb.
I was going to say, you spanked, Kyle?
Okay.
Have you ever spanked?
Yes. Okay. We found it was effective with certain kids.
Certain kids, right? Yeah,
and other kids
we have
not.
4, so...
Other kids are like, oh, sure, yeah, no problem.
Like our first
and I know I only
0.
have one kid, so people are like, oh, you only have one kid, you don't know, you don't know what's coming and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. I couldn't see myself doing that. I feel like I would feel just terrible by doing that.
Yeah, I think it comes to, you're like, you know what? I feel really terrible because he's gotten out of bed 17 times. And then you're like, maybe I will spank. Just try one little swat. Okay. Holy crap, that worked really well.
That's why I don't spank them, because I know if I get really frustrated and stuff, like I'll be like, okay, well, hitting him is an option, but I want to tell myself that's not an option. When I get really frustrated,
it's not hitting, it's spanking.
Okay. Tomato. But
well, I think hitting implies you just like walk up and like bam.
Yeah,
and it's
because you sit there and say, I don't enjoy doing this, and I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. And
well, and
I'm not trying to convert you to spanking.
No, it's an interesting discussion though.
Yeah,
I don't. And I do think there's a difference between like what you're talking about of a parent in the store, like, hey, bam.
Yeah.
And when I
see so many parents like that, it just drives me crazy. I hate parents at the grocery stores are just mean and terrible to their kids all the time.
You should never lash out on impulse.
To judge people. For sure. I don't know. I just feel like they're not enjoying their kids. They're really worried about how their kids act in public. They're worried about other people judging them. They're worried about their kids. Kids are going to do dumb things, and they're like really nervous about other people judging them. So they have to be on top of their kids all the time. Hey, don't touch that. Don't do that. What are you doing? That kind of thing. It's just chill out. Okay. Like, kids are going to do stuff. They're going to yell and stuff, and just peacefully try to solve the situation. And if it's getting really frustrated, and I know what it's like to be frustrated, just kind of take a breather, step away, and be calm. That's what I try to do.
What if your kid announced that he's voting for Bernie? Would spanking be okay then?
I'll have to think about that one.
It's defensive at that point, right? That's defending.
For the future of the country.
Yeah. I mean, I think a little swat to save the countries.
I do think I've found, like, the thing is, like, spanking, they don't want to be spanked. So it becomes you don't do it a lot. You have to make it a rare thing. If you do it too much, they'll build up a callus, they don't feel it.
Yeah.
Right. Because
it needs to be a special occasion.
Yeah, because I actually agree with your criticisms, but I would say that that's a misapplication of, because for me, spanking is not like all the time, and it's not bam.
It's not an addiction. Like
it's like
spank. I haven't spanked.
Yeah.
It's like there's deliberate disobedience, and it's like, hey, go to your room, think about it, and I'm going to be up there to talk to you. And then you talk, you have a conversation, so there's a consequence. SWAT.
Because one of the unexpected things of
that's
parenting,
a different thing,
is when you like seriously discipline your kids, it actually grows your connection grows with them. If you don't see it as a separation, like they don't feel like you've separated yourself from them. But I know that when I seriously discipline my kids and then come and hold them, it feels like a deepening of our relationship, because it's like, it's very secure to have somebody that loves you, protects you, has lives to provide you life, to both, they put you in that scary place of getting spanked or whatever and being disciplined, but then they are your safety, and it's more well-rounded than just like, well, Johnny, we're not going to do that, are we? It kind of makes you just...
Now you're strawmanning her position.
Yeah. I'm only saying that's the strawman in all our heads.
No, I get it.
I feel like spanking my kid would hurt the parent-child bond, though, because I feel like we are so close. I'm pretty much a stay-at-home mom, that we're together 24/7, and hitting him would kind of break that connection a bit. I don't know. I just think that he would be like, well, what are you doing? Like, I can't come to you all the time. Like, I want my kid, when he's in trouble, to actually be able to come to me and talk to me, and let's figure this out. Let's come up with a solution, that thing. And I think that I don't want my kid to be afraid of me, afraid that, I might hit him if he did bad. Like, I want to have this kind of open line of communication with him. And I feel like that would kind of break the bond. I don't know what you're talking about, because I never spanked him before, but I don't know. I feel like it would hurt that.
It's probably because I think
I think I want my kids to fear me. So
yeah, they should have a respectful fear, right?
I want to clarify. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, look at these rioters, especially over the summer. It's because they weren't spanked.
Yeah.
You know, they need to be spanked. They need to be whipped. They, you know,
hard agree.
And they say, yeah, and then they look at me when I'm talking about non-spanking, like you're the problem. Yeah, okay. The problem is permissive parenting. The problem is parents who let their kids do whatever they want to do with absolutely no consequences. What I'm saying is I think kids should have consequences. I think they should, you know, have some punishment and they should be told no and all this. That needs to happen. But it doesn't need to be, and I know you're going to be like, that's a stretch, but it doesn't need to be violence.
Yeah. So I think there's a certain range that's at a certain age where you like can't, you know, like you can take away the iPhone or something at a certain age, and there's this, oh my gosh, it's worse than getting spanked at that age. But there's a certain age, there's a window where it's hard to. There's nothing that makes them upset, like that you can take away. Like you can even take away a certain toy, then they'll go for a different toy or whatever. Like it's like to really, it's hard. It also depends on the kid, and it depends on the parent and whatever. But anyway, I thought I wasn't going to spank, but yeah, I totally did.
So we all agree that Antifa needed better parents.
Yes.
Spankings.
Yes. She doesn't agree on
the
spankings.
They need parents who are there for them.
They just needed a father figure.
We have other parents here. Dan.
A father figure, absolutely.
You spank Dan?
Dan
spanks. Matt?
Mother doesn't, dad does.
Mother doesn't, dad does. All right. In our house.
Does mother disapprove of the spanking or?
What about?
Oh, wow. She does.
She's not a fan.
Oh, man.
Oh.
This is going to start a fight. Does she listen to the podcast?
That is going to be
She doesn't listen to the podcast, so we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I had one other because I was trying to be creative. I didn't want to, because one time I did, he kept getting out of bed. I spanked him like a few too many times, and there's like a little bit of a purple mark. And I don't want to mark him up and say it's scary. So I was trying to be creative. But also, one thing you need to understand with boys is like boys, we react differently to physical. Like it's not, we don't, there's almost like there's a thing where like you think I'm tough. You roughed me up. I feel like it's like there's a line, but like it's not, it's different anyway. So
Are you saying men and women are different? What are you suggesting?
Sure, there's some, the difference in masculinity, and there could be some masculine girls who I'll feel that way too. But anyway, so it was my creative. I was trying an alternative, and I created this thing called Scream Juice because my kid had
Scream Juice.
He had come to this thing where to get whatever he wanted, he'd throw this giant demonic fit, you know. And so I needed a way to cut that off. So I concocted this cup, and I put a picture of a guy going on the cup, and it was called Scream Juice. And it had some lemon juice in it. It had a little bit of hot sauce in there. It was just the grossest.
Oh my God.
A little spicy. It was, you know. And so I would just make him take a sip of that if he threw a giant fit. And
CPS
he hated it. But I was trying to think, is this abuse or is this, you know, because it's no marks. It's not, you know, it's just a little bit of spice on the tongue, right? What do you think?
But like...
Scream Juice, pro or con?
Scream Juice. I wanted to know what people think. We only did it like 2 or 3 times. He hated it. Just a bit of hot sauce in there. And, you know, so it was disgusting.
A little ghost pepper.
Yeah. I tested a few different hot sauces. There was one that was a bit too far.
But what is he learning from that, though? He's learning not to scream, but like... are you worried about him as an adult? Like screaming his head off?
No, it's impulse control. Like they have this... They don't think ahead. They just go like, I want this thing right now.
Yeah.
They need to have that thought that goes in like, I need this right now. I should... calmly talk to my mom and dad about this because I shouldn't throw giant fits.
Yeah.
Because that makes me a terrible person, and my parents are trying to get me to not be a terrible person. Scream Juice.
I like when our guest just checks out.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. This is the most interesting part of the conversation for me. So.
Yeah, with the kids.
Yeah, it's fun.
What's the worst thing Calvin has done?
Oh man.
So many options.
I know. I'm trying to think. It's all a noise. I mean, he smears poop everywhere all the time. He's always trying to strangle our dog.
Oh.
I always look over and he'll either be stepping on its throat or he'll have his hands on its throat. I cannot get him to stop. He has some fascination, and our dog's super submissive, so he's always just like, I guess I'm getting murdered right now. I guess I deserve this. He has this look in its eye.
So if you just mail Calvin to Julie, she'll take care of it.
She'll get it
in like 6 months and mail
She'll
him
become
back.
a spanker very quickly.
I will just.
Like, you murdered my son. She jumps straight to murder past spanking.
Lord, I've learned the one thing you need in parenting is just patience.
That's true. It teaches
It's
it
hard.
to you.
It's hard.
That is
Yep,
true.
absolutely.
All right, well, we're going to move into our subscriber portion. Check out Julie's new book, The Peaceful
Ooh.
Porcupine. It's on Amazon and elsewhere. So, Peaceful Porcupine. Check it out.
Yes.
All right.
Subscriber portion. Let's go.
Let's go.
We're going into the secret libertarian drug den.
Uncensored. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming up next for Babylon Bee subscribers.
This says you did voices on Freedom Tunes. Is that true?
This whole capital thing that started all this. That fits with the non-aggression principle, right?
Is that non-aggression?
I know. I don't know.
pull the
Does
pants
that?
Wondering what they'll say next? The rest of this podcast is in our super exclusive premium subscriber lounge. Go to babylonbee.com/plans for full-length ad-free podcasts. Kyle and Ethan would like to thank Seth Dillon for paying the bills, Adam Ford for creating their job, the other writers for tirelessly pitching headlines, the subscribers, and you, the listener. Until next time, this is Dave DeAndrea, the voice of the Babylon Bee.